Who's responsible for all the scripts you have running in your head? Think of all of these thoughts that you have running through your head, like the lyrics of a song. And how do you see it all play out? That's the music video of your life. If you want something you've never had, you're going to have to do something that you've never done. And that is thinking for yourself. Most of the time, when you speak with people, you're not speaking directly with them. You're speaking to the conditioned voice that was programmed by their family, the school system, mainstream media. Everyone has somehow evolved to sound the same in the way they speak with one another. Cue the small talk. It's like we can predict pretty much how every conversation will go. But rarely ever is there a voice of dissent in a way that we haven't heard before. Because while everyone wants to be so authentic, no one knows how to actually do that. So it's very difficult to escape this because first, you have to realize it's happening in the first place. You have to come to terms with the degree in which it's been responsible for shaping who you are. If only about 5% of our brain activity is conscious, while the vast majority, around 95%, is subconscious, then our subconscious thought has 95% of our brains running the show, and only 5% of our conscious awareness is in control. So you have to become stronger than those 95 horses that have been leading you toward the same place that everyone else is going. As many of you know, the quote by Carl Jung, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So if you can reprogram your conscious mind to move away from the direction of the pack, then you achieve authenticity automatically. So it's no wonder why people naturally cannot do this. And as a result, are very content to stay with the pack mentality. Never get anywhere in life. Well, it's not that they don't get anywhere in life, but they just don't get anywhere different than what they know is possible. So let's unpack this stuff from its roots so we can get into the conscious reprogramming of it all. And just know, this is not about breaking away from society and living in a hut in the middle of nowhere. What I'm here to have you understand is how you don't have to be physically isolated to be free from the pack. But you do have to learn how to isolate your conscious mind away from the subconscious autopilot responses that have been running your life. Let's look at the first conditioning system, the family system. And it's not to say that the pack is even necessarily a negative thing, but the problem with them all is how they indoctrinate you into a pack mentality. And yes, your family is the first place where this all happens. Your family was brainwashed by their family and probably said that they'd never treat their own children the way they were treated. But what happened is exactly what happens when the subconscious brain is programmed to act in a way that will result in them doing the same or similar things to you as their parents did to them. Unless, of course, you're a super conscious parent who has reined in those 95 horses to set forth the power of the 5% to make some major break in the cycle, which does happen, but not a lot. So this is often why we end up 40 or 50 years later realizing how we've been trapped into the matrix, so to speak, and only now do we try to get out. And sorry, kids, who I raised, I really tried my best, but you're probably going to have to do the same one day too. Because there's more that's going on here than just within the home. There might be culturally rooted or religiously based programs that are also shaping our subconscious brains that run even deeper than what the generations before could even make up. They're all just following what they think will allow them to have a good life, go to heaven, be a good person, provide for their family while they didn't have any choice growing up whether to follow along with this stuff or not. You might have had a thought in your head that this stuff doesn't make sense. I don't believe in how everyone else is living their lives. There must be something more to it. And quite frankly, these aren't even good people. You see the disconnect between how people act versus how they talk. But most people just go along with it, follow the pack. This is the only way. This is the only choice. Then outside of the family system is the school system, where we spent many hours of our lives being influenced by teachers and peers and even just the general education that was presented to us. And everyone is learning the same thing. Everyone is being fed the same lesson, the same assignment, the same grading system. Everyone is just lumped into the same expectation for learning. More pack grooming taking place here, grooming you to conform to the masses, otherwise you'll be left out in the cold. And if you go against any of that, if you try to write a paper on something that isn't in the curriculum or goes against what the teacher's views are, then watch out. This is unacceptable. You can't be different. I mean, yes, you can be different, but even being different has its limitations. And this expectation goes so far to say that if you're a high school dropout, you'll be nothing in life. Meanwhile, we forget to remind ourselves of how many high school dropouts turned out to be successful entrepreneurs, inventors. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, and Oprah Winfrey, to name a few. Not to say that their reputation was also great, but hey, they did what they had to do. Even if you did get through high school, well, then you better go to college or university so you can get a good paying job afterwards. But only those who have money can go to college, or who are smart enough and have played the game good enough to get a scholarship can go. Because now this higher education isn't free. But you can apply to get a student loan and be left with a sizable chunk of debt to pay back for years to come. This is what the next pack you'll be a part of wants from you. But if you're someone who's operating from your 5% conscious brain, you can bypass all of those wasted years of more indoctrination, more handing in work that is acceptable to the pack and done in a way that the pack sees fit. Learning the same curriculum, doing the same assignments. Then, to get the job of your dreams? Not anymore. This is why those who are looking to escape the pack will seek autonomy in any way possible. But remember, it's not about escaping the society. You are still part of it, but in a different way. Not as a societal conforming normie, but as a societal rebel who breaks the norms. And most importantly, has value to offer the masses. For some of us, it might take a while to break out of this pack of education, the employment in a traditional man-made nonsense, while other generations that we see coming up are now doing this much sooner. It's become more acceptable to go a different path, and that's wonderful to see. Whereas in the past, to do that meant something was wrong with you. While it's still very rare and discouraged, unless you've at least gotten a degree for yourself first, just in case you'll have something to fall back on. Yeah, in case you have to fall back and run with the pack again. Statistically, it appears that the number of people going to college has increased from 1995 to 2025. But what has also doubled in that time frame is the number of self-employed people. So while you might be following the pack to get an education, that might be as far as some people will go before going off on their own. In 2000, approximately 3 out of every 1,000 people started a business. But by 2022, that rate dropped to about 1.3 out of 1,000 people. That even includes the early 2020s when we had something called the Great Resignation, which was characterized by this surge in people quitting their jobs by the millions. As we know, those were the COVID years. People left for safety reasons, lack of childcare, and just this desire to pursue personal goals, starting new companies, turning their side hustle into a full-time job. But doing that is hard. Take it from me. I was one of those people who resigned from their job, and you know what? Our society isn't set up for those people to succeed. It's a hard hustle. If you're not equipped with the right mindset, skill set, and wherewithal to the reality you're stepping into, you'll fall back into that pack mentality that has you judging yourself, telling yourself you're a failure, you're an imposter. Who do you think you are? Just get a real job. Freedom doesn't feel like such freedom when you have taxes to pay on all that money you made by yourself. With no benefits, no pension contributions, it's no wonder that number has dropped as the world pressed upon us to become more reliant on its government to feel a sense of safety, which was the exact opposite. But that good old programming had you thinking otherwise. Retreat back to safety of the real world, which is the programs and conditioning. Follow the social norms of the pack world. Be like the rest of us who have to slug it out every day, working 40 to 60 hours a week, no time for ourselves. Everyone does it. Why do you think you're so special not to? Let's not forget another outlet that is primed for its programming tactics: the media. It's the best programming there is out there to keep everyone in the pack. The news will report a recession is nearing. The interest rates are going up. The value of homes are going down. There's going to be a housing crash, market crash. All of these things are drilled into us. So we play it safe. Don't take any risks. Why do we listen to all these people telling us how to live our lives? It's the control they want to have over the pack. Make sure everyone's following suit. Keep everyone in fear so they don't think it's safe to try something different. But those who are using the 5% of their brain, instead of the 95 of subconscious conditioning, will decide for themselves what they're going to buy, what they're going to invest in, what they're going to sell, what risks they're going to take, because they know fear-mongering propaganda when they hear it. Fear-mongering sold in helpful packages to protect you from harm and undue risks. But when you operate from the 5%, you just go ahead and do what you want. And you're actually no worse off for it in the end. And even if the perception from others is that you are, you know that you enacted your autonomy to do what you wanted to do. Despite all the caution and warnings that people threw at you, you can prove them wrong in this regard. And they hate it. They'll tell you, you just got lucky. It was a one-off, a rarity. And yes, you not buying into the messages to groom you into behaving in a pack-conforming way is a rare thing to do. Now we have that other pack, the one you find on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, which I'll say the TikTok feed is full of people who have broken free from the pack, which is maybe why a certain country's president wants it gone so badly. But it's also a place where we see independent media being reported. It's a place where we don't get just our local news or our national news. We find out what's happening everywhere else in the world. But let's not forget that social media is curated by other people's programming. They show you a life that is their own based on the 95% of subconscious programming. If anyone wants to start veering away from the pack, start to share their own message, this can have the potential to go viral in either a good way or not so good way. If what someone wants to tell you could harm the benefit of the pack, and you know the ones we speak about, healthcare is a big one, they will get shut down real quick. And the fact that you're believing in it too will have you seen as a fool. But we all know the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So how many times we have to be fooled by this point? More than just twice. And can we keep putting that on ourselves? Well, yes. Part of your programming is allowing you to buy into it. Because, well, we all want something different. But how far are we willing to go? To the point where you're just conforming to everyone else trying to leave the pack. But just to form another one. An entirely different pack is being formed on TikTok by the dances, the fashion, the lingo. All these Gen Zers think they're so different, but they're actually all the same. Talk the same, dress the same, dance the same. But isn't that always the way? Sure, but now it's even more accessible to be in a sameness with others while alone. You could be a teenager with no friends, but feel connected to all these other teens on social media because you're trending with all the same products as them, fashion, sayings. It's like as much as you're not in a pack, you so want to be part of something. And social media has a way of giving you a sense of inclusion. But even that is destroying your ability to think on your own and be your own person, and thus driving you away from your own individuation. So how can you harness more of this 5% of your conscious mind so you can have a life that is more your own and less of what everyone else thinks? And if you think you're already there in terms of thinking your own thoughts, so long as you are immersed in entertaining the messages from media, family, education, peer influences, then you're not. The way to be more in the 5% is to find yourself more in the flow state, the nothing state, the silent state, the being state. It's only then that you can hear what all those thoughts are that are floating around in your mind. Only then can you filter out what is actually yours and what is not. And if you want to be so extreme about it, try a 10-day Vipassana retreat where you don't speak. No one speaks. You don't read. You're in silence. And this is so you can face the discomfort of your own thoughts, be challenged with them, sit with them, unpack them, and realize what is true. You have to let go of your fight, flight, fawn, freeze ways of responding and choose the mindful response instead. The mindful response is what I call the green response, something I write about in my book, Colors of the Mind. The green response is the conscious response, the one that allows you to challenge the thoughts that show up in your mind and ask yourself, who is this serving exactly? Are my thoughts here to serve me, or are they here to serve someone else? Well, what you really want is to have a conscious flow of thoughts that remind you of who you are in the present moment, while it also reminds you that everyone else is filtering through their own response in a way that is likely the result of thoughts that are not even their own. So learning how to choose your own thoughts, choose your own path, your own direction to where you want to be in life, not acting because of a fear, but based on your own critical thought that is yours and yours alone. Who cares if no one understands the ways in which you are acting, so long as you understand that your actions are stemming from your own frame of mind? Then you're already ahead of 95% of other people and the 95% of your own subconscious brain. When you take these risks, when you think outside of the box, when you spend time to yourself, away from the noise of the rest of the programmed world, that's when this rewiring takes place. When you go off and you make your own choices, that's what's making the biggest difference overall to your own neurology. And that's what's going to determine your ability to break free of the pack. Now, it might sound crazy, but what you need to do is create your own world, one that follows the rules that you set out for yourself. No one else needs to follow them except for you. And when you set these laws in place, the universal order has no other choice other than to organize itself in such a way to support you. But this won't work if you fear it won't work. If you fear the outcomes of living in a world that is just your own versus a world that's already established and set out for you. Now, again, I'm not talking about anything that's so extreme that you become a vigilante or a free man of the land. What I'm talking about by creating your own world is that you abide by your own morals, standards, and ethics. You filter out all of the fear mongering because the fears are what keep everyone part of the pack, and that's not the life you want. You can talk about not being a part of the pack, yet you still are. And so within you lies this cognitive dissonance. What you say you are isn't lining up with the life you're actually living. And so then, therefore, it will never line up for you. Just ask yourself, what is it that I really want? Ask yourself, what is it that I've been getting? And how long have I been getting what I've been getting? Finally, what will happen if I continue to live my life in this way? You can see where this is going. You start to make choices for yourself based on your future you. Your future you will be so grateful that you decided to do whatever this thing is that you're finally going to set out to do. What goal will you set for yourself, no matter how big or small it is? If it's a new habit, a new mindset, a new project, a new lifestyle, if you set out to finally challenge the problems in your relationship, with your finances, or with your health, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. So you're going to have to do something that you've never done before. And how will you do that? You'll have to start to do some research. Find out what you don't know. There's a whole section of things that you don't know you didn't know. And those things are available to be discovered, which will feed the 5% of your conscious brain and reprogram the 95% of your subconscious with new information, deeply ingrained into your psyche. This new information by creating new beliefs and then take those new beliefs out there to put them to the test. Part of creating this new world involves creating a new educational system for yourself, one that you decide the curriculum, the sources of information, and how it's going to be implemented and tested. Understand what things you can do easily, what things you can put to the test that are going to be a challenge, and then the things that are just impossible to do right now. And the things you think are impossible, don't completely toss them out either. Just put those on the back burner, carry on with the other things in the meantime. What you're doing is not only creating the new neural pathways for your brain to connect to, but you're also teaching yourself about inner authority, personal integrity. These things all lead you back to being the leader of your own pack, a pack of one. But maybe also to your kids too, because this is important stuff for them to witness So they don't have to carry on thinking that this can't be done. In this new world, you stop listening to the news. You stop listening to the ads on the radio and on the TV. You stop listening to the brainwashing lyrics in music. And instead, you choose instrumental or high vibrational music instead. Now, this is done by doing it all yourself. And I know we're conditioned to ask for help. And we're told we're weak if we don't ask for help. And it's not wise to not ask for help. But hear me out. Part of building this inner authority for yourself involves building your own personal army of one. The whole point is to shut out the subconscious thoughts from everyone else, the automatic ways of doing things that everyone else is doing. Asking for help on something is unlikely to help you rewire your own brain, and instead is only going to reinforce the subconscious programs even deeper that other people have. You have to set forth on your own mission to strengthen your own 5% conscious brain. And take everything one step at a time here. There's going to be a tendency to give up, take shortcuts. Creating your own world takes time. Be patient. The subconscious brain wants to take over with its 95 horses and just run the show, telling you that they already know everything to do and this is too hard and just give it up. Do it their way. So just keep building, doing what you can until you see that that entire empire has been rebuilt. And I'll say this again, how important it's going to be for you to be in silence more often than not. There's so many cobwebs and clutter to get through. So this is going to take time. Make sure you have the time. Make sure you do not do this with a sense of urgency, yet make sure you understand the urgency behind why you're doing all of this in the first place. Go back to your answer about what will happen if you don't. And question everything. Be a skeptic. Don't believe everything you think and tune out the majority of what you hear and see in the media. And don't forget to ask yourself, what would my future self want me to do? What will land me in the best win-win outcome in a year from now? What appears to be short-term loss will turn out to be a long-term gain. You are investing in yourself every time you consider something new about yourself, especially in the way you choose to perceive yourself, love yourself, accept yourself, and challenge yourself. Keep in mind that the whole point of this is to lead yourself down a non-conforming path. What will happen is you will leave the workplace, the educational institutions, maybe even the institution of marriage, if that falls into the category of conforming and rule abiding. Anything that holds you back from operating as a pack of one, operating from your own inner authority, anything that's not going to serve you as you build your own world will eventually all fall away. And if you can't do this, then go ahead. Be ruled by the 95 horses and king's men. Why am I thinking of Humpty Dumpty right now? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Correct. He was on the foundation that was built for us. He fell off, and no matter what, no one could put him back together again. There was no way he could be built up to sit on that wall. And neither will you. If you've fallen off, don't build yourself back up to sit on that wall. Instead, build your own wall. Build your own world that you can happily take part in. All the king's horses and all the king's men represent institutional authority, government, religion, military, all these systems of control. Despite their grandeur, they can't restore what essentially is internal or metaphysical within you. The value you bring to this world is being an excellent problem solver. You are inventive. You are an innovator. And if this is already you, then congrats. You've done something that only 5%, or who knows how many, I'm just using this small percentage here, you've done something more than very few people can do. But the hope is that more and more people will see this as the norm. More and more people will realize this as a possibility for themselves. The being your own person, thinking for yourself is encouraged, is even taught instead of how to be part of the masses. There's so much that we don't know that we have yet to tap into. If we could change the flow of knowledge to be released in a more creative way, imagine the world we would be living in. The one you build for your future you and the generation ahead of you.